When Mia was 9 months pregnant, her husband's former classmate showed up at their house with military travel orders in hand. She claimed she was going to join him on base and demanded that Mia hand over her marriage certificate. Mia was so infuriated that her baby kicked relentlessly, and she eventually had to be rushed to the military hospital. After hearing about the incident, her husband Liam publicly tore up the woman's travel orders and declared that he would absolutely never acknowledge her. However, the very next day, someone swapped Mia's maternity checkup chart for a surgical consent form. As she was wheeled into the delivery room, she still thought she was just having a C-section. It wasn't until she woke up that she realized her baby had died and she had been sterilized. The doctor said the form had her husband's signature on it. Liam snapped his pen in half, knelt by her bed, and wept. "Mia, I was tricked into signing it, but Olivia is already pregnant with my child. I can't let her bear this alone. Once she gives birth, I'll bring the baby to you to raise, to make up for everything." Mia was in so much pain she couldn't utter a single word. She was simply forced to accept it. Afterward, Liam relied on the connections of Mia's father, a retired general, to climb the ranks step by step. Olivia, too, went from being a simple waitress to the wife of a high-ranking officer. On the day the son Mia had raised with her own 2 hands was commissioned as an officer, they brought her a bowl of sweet soup. Right after drinking it, she began foaming at the mouth. Before she took her last breath, Liam reached out to wipe the corner of her mouth, his voice chillingly soft. "What would you do if you got a second chance right at the most tragic moment of your life?" Instead of accepting the betrayal and wrongful death of her past life, Mia decides to fight back. Using her wits and the law, she exposes her awful husband and his shameless mistress. Let's dive into this incredibly satisfying revenge story. I was the one who signed the sterilization papers. Olivia waited for me for so many years. I couldn't let her child be known as a bastard. You've enjoyed the privileges of a military family for all these years. It's time you make room for someone else. Right after she died, he immediately threw a belated wedding for Olivia, draping the entire yard in red ribbons. When Mia opened her eyes again, she had returned to the exact day Olivia showed up at her door with the travel orders. As Olivia stood before Mia's house, melted snow dripped onto the ground from her green military duffel bag. "Take a good look, Mia," Olivia said. "The military has approved my dependent travel orders. Liam has always had me in his heart. Hand over the marriage certificate. I don't want to make things too ugly." The baby in Mia's belly suddenly gave a strong kick. The pot of rice porridge on the stove was bubbling, and the white steam covered the window panes, reminding her of the sweet soup right before her death in her previous life. She rested her hand on the door frame. This time, she wasn't trembling with rage like she had in her past life. Seeing Mia stay silent, a triumphant smile appeared on Olivia's face. "What's wrong? Can't bear to give up your position as an officer's wife? So what if your father is a retired general? Liam only married you to repay a debt of gratitude." Just then, a few military wives peeked their heads in through the front gate. Martha, carrying a basin of radishes and freezing until she was red in the face, had her eyes lit up like she had just found a $100 bill on the ground. "Mia, what's going on?" Olivia immediately raised her voice. "You're just in time. Liam and I have been engaged for a long time. She used her family's power to steal my man." It was the exact same phrase from her previous life. Just one sentence had nailed Mia to the pillar of shame. As people gathered around, Olivia reached down to stroke her still flat stomach. She deliberately pulled up her sleeve to reveal a vintage Hamilton watch that Liam had gifted her. It was the same watch Mia had seen on Liam's wrist right before she gave birth in her past life. It turned out that before he tore up Olivia's travel orders, he had already given her the watch. Hatred surged in Mia's chest, leaving a metallic taste of blood in her throat. But her child was still in her womb. She absolutely could not let this woman push her into the hospital again. Mia looked up at Olivia and asked softly, "You're saying I stole your husband?" Olivia lifted her chin. "Isn't that the case? Then tell me." Mia replied, "What year and what month did he go to register his marriage with you?" Olivia's face instantly stiffened. Outside the yard, someone let out a quiet chuckle. But Olivia quickly regained her composure, her tears falling at a moment's notice. "Us country folks value love and loyalty, not just a piece of paper. I waited for him for 8 years. You've only been married to him for 2. What gives you the right?" Mia's stomach tightened again. This time, she reached down to hold her belly and turned to Martha. "Martha, could you please go get Director Miller from the Women's Association to help me?" Martha was stunned, and so was Olivia. In her past life, Mia had been so provoked by Olivia that she had cursed her out for having no shame. In the end, Mia was the one who became the bitter, shrewish woman in everyone's eyes. In this life, Mia knew that whoever stood on the side of the rules first would be the one with the right to speak. Olivia snapped back to reality and immediately barged into the house. "Don't use the Women's Association to threaten me." She reached straight for the red-painted wooden box sitting on the cabinet next to Mia's bed. The marriage certificate, the ration books, and a few letters Liam had sent were all inside. Mia stepped forward to block her. Suddenly, Olivia fell backward, her entire body hitting the door threshold. "Mia, you pushed me!" Olivia cried. The entire yard instantly erupted into murmurs. Right after, Liam's voice rang out from behind the crowd. "Get out of the way, all of you!" His military boots stomped through the snowy mud as he strode into the yard, his face full of anger. Olivia sat slumped on the ground, clutching her stomach and crying. "Liam, I just wanted to take back what rightfully belongs to me, but she hit me." Liam looked down at Mia's hands. His gaze was both cold and probing. In her past life, he had clearly torn up Olivia's travel orders in public, but the very next day, he had signed Mia's sterilization papers. Looking back now, even his anger seemed like a prearranged act. Mia hugged the wooden box tightly to her chest. Liam walked up to her and lowered his voice. "Mia, just give the box to me first." Olivia's crying abruptly stopped. Outside the gate, Director Miller parted the crowd and stepped inside. In her hand, she was still holding a registration notebook she hadn't had time to close. The hand Liam was reaching out hovered right above Mia's box. Director Miller's gaze stopped on the wooden box. "Commander Liam, what is it that you want to take?" Liam's face froze. "Our household documents. I was afraid Mia might get too worked up and affect the baby, so I wanted to hold on to them for her for now." His words sounded incredibly righteous and proper. If this were her past life, Mia might have actually thought he was protecting her. Olivia grew anxious again. With tears still clinging to her face, her voice was shrill and full of grievance. "Director Miller, I have my travel orders. The organization arranged for me to join him here as a dependent. Mia stole my title as Liam's wife, leaving me without even a place to stay." Director Miller opened the travel order paper and slowly furrowed her brows. "Comrade Olivia, this is just a letter of introduction transferring you from the county guest house to work in the logistics service unit. It is not a dependent travel order for a military spouse." The crowd instantly exploded into an uproar. Martha raised her voice. "Oh my, taking a work transfer paper to the service unit and faking it as a dependent's travel order? Isn't that just scamming people?" Olivia's face turned completely pale. Liam immediately snatched the piece of paper, glanced at it, and publicly tore it in half. "Olivia, have you caused enough of a scene?" The pieces of paper fell onto the snowy ground, exactly like in her previous life. The only difference was that this time, Director Miller was also present. Olivia glared at Liam, seemingly in disbelief that he had actually torn it up. "Liam, you promised me—" "Shut your mouth!" Liam yelled, cutting her off. Then, he turned around and reached out to support Mia, his voice softening. "Mia, let me take you to the hospital for a checkup. That's more important." The moment his hand touched her arm, Mia instantly dodged to the side. "Director Miller, I want to report an incident." Director Miller closed her notebook. "Report what?" "Comrade Olivia is publicly slandering a military marriage. She attempted to steal the marriage certificate belonging to me and Liam, and she forged her identity as a military dependent. I request that the organization investigate this matter." The entire yard instantly fell dead silent. Liam's face darkened. "Mia, family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. She's already caused a scene right at my doorstep. Do you still consider this a private family matter?" Mia retorted. As soon as Mia finished speaking, Martha immediately nodded. "Exactly. Mia is 9 months pregnant, and this woman still shows up at her door to force her to make room." "I can't believe she actually had the nerve to say that." Olivia cried even harder. "Mia, you only know how to rely on your father. If your father wasn't General Thomas, do you really think Liam would have married you?" Liam's eyes instantly sharpened. "Olivia, that shout wasn't to protect Mia. He was just afraid she would say too much." Director Miller saw everything. She stepped forward to support Mia and said sternly, "Comrade Mia, you head to the hospital first. Comrade Olivia, come with me to the office." Olivia refused to go. She suddenly lunged at Mia, grabbing her sleeve. "You're not going to the hospital." Her nails pierced through the thick cotton coat and dug deep into Mia's wrist. In that moment, the freezing cold sensation of the iron bed in the delivery room from her previous life weighed heavily on Mia again. Mia immediately raised her voice. Everyone saw that. She's stopping me from getting my maternity checkup. Olivia's hand stiffened. Liam forcibly pried her fingers away. Stop causing a scene. Olivia stared at him, gritting her teeth. Liam, how dare you treat me like this? The tips of Liam's ears turned red. He didn't look at Mia. Director Miller had Martha accompany Mia to the military hospital and simultaneously dispatched Assistant Lewis to fetch a female nurse from the clinic. Hearing the words, female nurse, Liam's eyebrows twitched ever so slightly, but Mia saw it. In her previous life, it was exactly at the hospital where her surgical consent form had been swapped. Right before Mia got into the Jeep, Liam chased after her. Mia, I'll go with you. Director Miller stopped him. Commander Liam, stay here and clearly explain Comrade Olivia's situation first. Olivia, who was being pulled away by Assistant Lewis, suddenly grabbed her stomach. I'm pregnant too. The snow-covered yard plunged into silence once again. Liam's expression visibly changed. Olivia looked up at Mia, her smile both vicious and smug. Mia, you have a baby in your belly, and I have one in mine too. Martha sharply gasped for air. The tip of Director Miller's pen stopped on the page. The door of the Jeep was still open. Half of Liam's hand gripped the edge of the window, his knuckles turning stark white. When the smell of disinfectant in the hospital hit her nose, Mia's back was already drenched in sweat. In her past life, it was in this very hallway that a nurse had pushed her past the red slogan painted on the wall. She was in so much pain that her vision blurred, unable to read the words. By the time she woke up, her baby was gone. This time, Martha supported her the entire way, constantly comforting her. Mia, don't be afraid. Director Miller has already spoken up. No one would dare try any funny business. No one would dare? In her previous life, Olivia dared. The doctor dared. And Liam dared too. Dr. Stone in the obstetrics department checked the fetal heartbeat for Mia. When the stethoscope was placed on her belly, the baby inside even did a little roll. Doctor, Stone smiled. The fetal heartbeat is stable. You just had a bad scare. It's best if you stay hospitalized for a couple of days for observation. Martha let out a sigh of relief. Mia, however, stared intently at the medical file on the desk. Dr. Stone, can I keep the checkup chart and the admission form myself? Dr. Stone looked up. According to regulations, they must be kept at the nurse's station. Then, please clearly state on every single page that I am only being admitted for pregnancy observation. It is strictly forbidden to perform any surgery unless I am fully conscious and sign for it myself. Doctor, Stone's smile faded. Do you not trust the hospital? The sound of leather shoes echoed outside the door. Liam had arrived. In his hand, he carried a thermos. Behind him was a young female nurse. Her name was Nurse Claire. In her past life, Nurse Claire was the one who had casually said the 4 words to Mia, "Prepare for a C-section." Later, Mia found out she was Olivia's cousin from the county guest house. As soon as Nurse Claire walked in, she acted extremely enthusiastic. Ma'am, Commander Liam was afraid you'd be hungry, so he specifically asked me to bring some food to your hospital room. The thermos was barely set on the table, its lid not yet open, but a sickly sweet smell already wafted out. Mia's stomach immediately churned. Sweet soup. The bowl of sweet soup right before she died in her previous life had smelled exactly like this. Liam reached out to support her. Mia, Olivia has been taken away by Director Miller. Don't be angry anymore. Martha scoffed coldly. Commander Liam, what is the deal with the baby in her belly? Liam's expression instantly stiffened. Nurse Claire hurriedly interjected. Country girls are thin-skinned. She was probably just talking nonsense. I'm asking Commander Liam, not you, Martha snapped, silencing the nurse with a single sentence. Liam remained silent for a moment, then lowered his voice. After Mia gives birth, I'll give the organization an explanation. That explanation in her past life, Mia had waited her entire life for it, only to end up with a bowl of poisoned soup. When Dr. Stone finished writing the admission form, Nurse Claire proactively reached out to take it. Let me bring this to the nurse's station. Before her hand could touch the edge of the paper, Mia pressed it down. No need. The atmosphere in the room instantly turned cold. Liam frowned. Mia, stop being so paranoid. I just don't want my documents out of my sight, Mia replied. Nurse Claire's eyes grew red. Ma'am, do you suspect I'm trying to harm you? With just one sentence, she made Mia look like the unreasonable one. Two family members of a patient in the next bed also looked over. Martha was just about to speak when a sudden commotion erupted in the hallway outside. Olivia was being supported into the area by two assistants. Her face was deathly pale, and she clutched her stomach with one hand. "Liam, my stomach hurts." Almost on instinct, Liam took a step forward. That single step was clearer than any explanation. Olivia leaned into his embrace, her tears falling onto his military uniform. "If something happens to this baby, I don't want to live anymore." Dr. Stone immediately arranged for an examination. Liam helped Olivia to the room next door. Only when he reached the doorway did he turn his head to look at Mia. "Mia, a human life is at stake." The thermos was still on the table. Taking advantage of the chaos, Nurse Claire grabbed Mia's admission form, but the moment the paper left the table, Mia seized her wrist tightly. Nurse Claire screamed in pain. At the end of the hallway, Liam turned to look at Mia, his eyes as cold as daggers. Nurse Claire's scream brought the head nurse rushing over. "What's all this noise about?" Seeing Mia holding on to Nurse Claire, the head nurse's face immediately darkened. "Mia, the hospital is not a place for you to cause a scene." Nurse Claire teared up. "Head nurse, I just wanted to help her take the paperwork, but she insists I want to harm her." The crowd of onlookers grew larger and larger. Mia let go of her hand and smoothed the admission form over her knee. "Head nurse, this paper clearly states I am admitted to the obstetrics department for observation. I request that the paperwork be handed over right in front of me and my caregiver. Is there something wrong with that?" The head nurse was momentarily stumped by the question, making her tone even stiffer. "The hospital has its own procedures." Martha put her hands on her hips. "Is the hospital's procedure having nurses secretly take patients' paperwork?" Nurse Claire's face flushed red. "I didn't take it secretly." The door to the examination room next door opened. Olivia was helped out by Liam, her complexion even rosier than before. She clutched her stomach, but her eyes stared intently at the paper in Mia's hand. "Mia, are you paranoid that someone is out to get you? Liam is so good to you, yet you guard against him like he's a thief." Liam didn't deny it. Mia felt as if her chest was being sliced open by a dull knife. But Mia only looked at the head nurse. "I want to change nurses." The head nurse frowned. "Nurse Claire is a nurse in our department. We can't just reassign her because of a single word from you," the head nurse said. "She and Olivia are relatives," Mia replied. Nurse Claire's face instantly changed. Her personnel file at the county guest house states that her mother shares the same maiden name as Olivia's mother. The two families still visit each other during the holidays. "A lot of people in the logistics unit know about this," Mia continued. This was a detail from her past life. It wasn't until right before she died that Mia had heard her nanny mention it. By then, Olivia was already a high-ranking officer's wife, and Nurse Claire had been promoted to the provincial hospital. Now, as soon as Mia blurted it out, the entire hospital room fell dead silent. The head nurse looked at Nurse Claire, whose lips were trembling. "Is it illegal to be distant relatives?" Olivia immediately chimed in. "That's right, so what if we're relatives, Mia? You can't just bully my cousin because you hate me." Liam's face darkened completely. "Enough," he said. He stepped up to the edge of Mia's bed and lowered his voice to a whisper. "Do you really have to blow this out of proportion?" "You were the ones who brought yourselves right to my hospital bed," Mia retorted. Olivia sniffled. "Liam, let's just go. I don't want an examination anymore." She turned to leave but swayed unsteadily. Liam immediately caught her. The blatant anxiety in his reaction caused the onlookers' expressions to shift. The head nurse coughed lightly. "If there really is a family relation, Nurse Claire will temporarily be taken off Comrade Mia's care." Nurse Claire was about to argue, but the head nurse glared at her, forcing her into silence. However, the ordeal was not over yet. When dinner time came, Liam brought the thermos and sat by Mia's bed. Martha had been called away by Director Miller to give a statement, leaving only the two of them in the room. "Have some soup," he said. As the lid opened, a pungent, sweet smell wafted straight out. Red dates, longans, and brown sugar, these were all ingredients typically used to nourish women after childbirth. It was also the exact concoction that had taken her life in her previous one. Mia looked at the bowl of soup but didn't take it. Liam sighed. "Mia, it's true that Olivia is pregnant. The baby is mine." He fell silent. That silence was even more nauseating than a full confession. Outside the hospital room door, someone stopped in their tracks. Out of the corner of her eye, Mia caught a glimpse of a white sleeve. It was Nurse Claire. Holding the bowl, Liam's voice turned hoarse. She came all the way here from the countryside by herself to find me. It wasn't easy for her. Once she gives birth, I'll give the child to you to raise. A metallic taste of blood surged up in Mia's throat. It was exactly what he had said in her past life. Mia raised her hand and smacked the bowl away. The porcelain bowl crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. The sweet soup splashed all over Liam's pant legs. Outside, Nurse Claire immediately pushed the door open and barged in, screaming, "Mia, are you crazy?" The sweet soup seeped across the tiled floor all the way to the foot of the bed. Liam looked down at his pant leg, his expression turning terrifyingly dark. "Have you made enough of a scene?" he demanded. Nurse Claire squatted down to pick up the broken porcelain pieces, her eyes full of resentment. "Commander Liam was kind enough to bring you soup. It's one thing if you're ungrateful, but to waste food on top of it?" The other expectant mothers in the room all looked over. In this day and age, wasting food could easily make people hate you even more than cursing at them. Mia clutched her stomach, her forehead breaking out in a cold sweat. "The soup is so sweet, it's sickeningly bitter. I didn't dare to drink it." Liam's expression shifted. Nurse Claire immediately sprang to her feet. "What do you mean by that? Are you trying to say there's something in the soup?" Her reaction was too fast, so fast it seemed as if she had been waiting for Mia to say those exact words. From outside the door, Director Miller's voice rang out. "Then let's take it to be tested." The porcelain shards in Nurse Claire's hands clattered to the floor. Director Miller walked in. Behind her was Martha, along with Mr. Barnes from the hospital security department. A flash of clear panic appeared in Liam's eyes. "Director Miller, there's no need to blow this out of proportion. A pregnant woman says the soup tastes off. One test will put everyone's mind at ease." Director Miller said. Mr. Barnes took a white enamel mug and scooped up the remaining soup that could still be salvaged from the floor. Nurse Claire stepped forward to block him. "It fell on the floor, it's all dirty now. Testing it won't be accurate anymore anyway." Martha shoved her aside. "Whether it's accurate or not is the lab's business. Why are you panicking?" Unnoticed by anyone, Olivia had already appeared in the doorway, her face deathly pale. She leaned against the doorframe, not even remembering to clutch her stomach anymore. "Liam, I'm scared." Liam glanced at her, then turned back to look at Mia. "Mia, do you really have to push me this far? You're the one who brought that bowl of soup right to my bed," Mia said. Director Miller took the entire thermos away. Before she could step out the door, Olivia unexpectedly lunged forward to snatch it back. "That thermos is mine!" Mr. Barnes intercepted her. "Comrade Olivia, cooperate with the investigation." Her wails echoed through the entire hallway. "You're all bullying me because I'm an outsider." Her crying spread across the whole floor. People in the room began whispering among themselves. If there's really nothing wrong with it, why try so hard to grab it back? Liam stood frozen in place, the veins on his temples throbbing continuously. A moment later, he leaned close to Mia. "Mia, if you're willing to stop now, it's still not too late." His voice was very soft, so soft that only Mia could hear it. In her past life, when he wiped the corner of her mouth right before she died, he had spoken in that exact same voice. Mia's stomach churned violently. "Liam, my baby is in my womb. How can you tell me to stop?" A flicker of impatience crossed his eyes. "No one is trying to harm you." Outside the door, Nurse Claire suddenly burst into tears. "Head nurse, I really was only helping bring the soup over." The soup was picked up from the cafeteria by Commander Liam. "I didn't know anything." Liam instantly snapped his head around. "Picked up from the cafeteria?" The thermos had clearly been brought by him. How did it suddenly become Nurse Claire just helping bring it over? Director Miller heard it too, and her footsteps paused. Liam's Adam's apple bobbed slightly. "I was the one who brought the soup." Olivia rushed over to Nurse Claire's side. "Claire, don't be afraid. Just tell the truth." Nurse Claire's lips trembled. It was Olivia who asked me to heat it up. She said her sister-in-law had a hard pregnancy." The moment those words were spoken, Liam's expression turned exceedingly grim. Olivia raised her hand and slapped Nurse Claire across the face. "You're lying." The sharp slap made the entire hallway fall dead silent. Nurse Claire clutched her face, tears streaming down. "I'm not lying. You were the one who personally put the longans into the soup." Olivia raised her hand to strike her again, but Director Miller barked out an order. "Take everyone back to the office." Standing by the hospital bed, Liam looked as though he had been stripped naked in front of the entire crowd. Finally, he looked at Mia with pleading eyes. Mia, maybe Olivia just didn't know what pregnant women are supposed to avoid. Didn't know? Longans and brown sugar both heavily promote blood circulation. If a woman in her final month of pregnancy consumes too much, disaster can easily strike. In her previous life, it was through these very excuses of not knowing that Mia had lost her child and lost her ability to ever be a mother again. Director Miller walked outside carrying the thermos. Liam suddenly reached out to block her. If the organization wants to investigate, go ahead, but please don't blow this out of proportion. Mr. Barnes grabbed his wrist firmly. Commander Liam, please put your hand down. It wasn't until midnight that the test results finally came back. There was no lethal poison in the soup, but it contained excessive amounts of longan, traces of safflower-infused water, and crushed motherwort. While these herbs might not kill a person immediately, they were more than enough to cause severe hemorrhaging in a 9-month pregnant woman. Director Miller stood at the door of the hospital room holding the report, her face as dark as the bottom of a burned pot. Liam was the first to speak. Who put that in there? Nurse Claire had cried until her eyes were swollen like walnuts. It wasn't me. I was only responsible for heating up the soup. Olivia leaned back against a chair, her lips completely drained of color. I don't know anything about safflower or motherwort. Back in the village, all I knew was that those things enrich the blood. Enrich the blood? Martha lunged forward, nearly tearing her apart. You gave safflower to a woman about to give birth to enrich the blood? Mr. Barnes quickly held her back. Director Miller slammed the report onto the table. Comrade Olivia, you must submit to an investigation. Panicking, Olivia turned to Liam. Liam, say something. Liam pressed his lips tightly together. He didn't dare protect her, but he also refused to stand by Mia's side. After a long time, he finally said, let's investigate it clearly first. Olivia looked as if she had just been slapped. Liam, I'm carrying your child. The entire hospital room instantly erupted in an uproar. Even though everyone had guessed it earlier that day, hearing her admit it with their own ears was still shocking. Director Miller's face grew even colder. Commander Liam, report to the regimental headquarters tomorrow morning to explain this matter. As she was being taken away, Olivia walked past Mia's bed. She suddenly stopped and lowered her voice. Mia, do you think you've won? As long as the baby in my belly is still here, he won't be able to bear leaving me. Mia looked at her. Then you'd better keep it safe. Olivia's expression stiffened. Perhaps she hadn't expected Mia not to cry or make a scene. At the end of the hallway, she was led away by Mr. Barnes. Nurse Claire was also suspended from duty by the head nurse, pending an investigation. The hospital room door closed. Liam stood by the bed, looking as if he had aged several years. Mia, I'll handle this properly. Handle it how? By marrying her? Or by making me raise her child? He choked on his words. The baby in Mia's belly kicked gently. She placed her hand on her stomach and said calmly, Liam, I want to call my father. His expression instantly changed. There's no need to bother, Dad. He is my father, Mia said. Mia, he suddenly grabbed her wrist with immense force. Martha immediately pressed the call button for the nurse, and the family member at the next bed stood up as well. By the time Liam let go, a red ring had already formed around Mia's wrist. Director Miller, who had just left, returned. Seeing this scene, she directly ordered Mr. Barnes to escort Liam out of the room. As he was pulled to the door, Liam looked back at Mia. Are you hell-bent on destroying me? That sentence made Mia laugh. Clearly, she was the one who had been destroyed before. The phone call was made with Director Miller present. The military operator transferred the call 3 times before finally connecting to the retired officer's housing at the Provincial Military Command. Hearing her father call out Mia, her tears almost fell. But after choking back a single sob, she gritted her teeth and held them in. Dad, Liam has another woman on the outside. She's pregnant, and she brought me a bowl of sweet soup laced with safflower. The other end of the line was silent for a few seconds, followed by the sound of a shattering teacup. Who is with you right now? Director Miller took the receiver. She simply recounted the facts without adding any words of anger. After listening, General Thomas's voice dropped incredibly low. Protect my daughter and grandchild well. I will be there before dawn. As soon as the receiver was put down, the sound of an argument erupted outside. Somehow, Liam had broken free from Mr. Barnes and barged to the door of the telephone room. His face was pale with rage as he reached out to snatch the notebook from Director Miller's hands. Director Miller immediately hid the notes behind her back. Mr. Barnes and 2 security guards rushed over and pinned Liam down. His shoulders were completely tense. I just wanted to check if the contents of the notes were factually incorrect. Director Miller laughed coldly. Commander Liam, whether it's factually incorrect or not, you can explain it at the regimental headquarters tomorrow. He looked at Mia. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. That night, Mia couldn't sleep. Her stomach kept tightening in continuous waves. Dr. Stone stayed up watching over her until nearly midnight. Just as the sky began to lighten, the sound of a car echoed outside. Her father, wearing an old woolen coat, walked into the hospital room. His hair was much darker than in Mia's memories of her past life. Following him was Chief Quinn from the Provincial Military Command's Disciplinary Inspection Department. Liam stood at the end of the hallway, holding his military cap in his hand, his face ashen. General Thomas didn't look at him first. He walked over to the side of Mia's bed, his rough hand gently touching her forehead. "Does it hurt?" Just that one sentence was enough to make Mia's eyes burn with tears. "Dad, I just want to deliver this baby safely." Her father nodded. "No one is allowed to go against your wishes." Chief Quinn began taking statements. From the incident where Olivia showed up at the house with fake travel orders, to the bowl of sweet soup, all the way to the relationship between Nurse Claire and Olivia. For every single matter, Director Miller, Martha, and Mr. Barnes served as witnesses. When Olivia was brought in, she was still crying. The moment she saw Mia's father, she dropped to her knees. "General, I was wrong. I just love Liam too much. I never wanted to harm Mia. I didn't know those things could hurt someone." Mia's father didn't even bother to look at her. Chief Quinn asked, "Where did the safflower and motherwort come from?" Olivia replied between sobs, "I brought them from my hometown." "Why were they crushed and put into the soup?" I thought they would be easier to absorb if they were crushed." Martha was so furious that she cursed right at her. "Do you think everyone here is an idiot?" After Nurse Claire was brought in, her legs had turned to jelly. She admitted that Olivia had once asked her to borrow a stone mortar from the hospital's small pharmacy to crush medicine. Olivia said that after Mia gave birth, her body would be weak, so we should prepare it in advance. Chief Quinn wrote this down. "Who told you to handle Mia's admission paperwork?" Nurse Claire instinctively looked toward Liam. His face instantly darkened. "Why are you looking at me?" Nurse Claire trembled in fear. "Commander Liam said that Mia's mental state was unstable, and that it would be fine if he signed the paperwork on her behalf. He told me to just give the forms to him from now on." The entire hospital room turned ice cold. Not a single person spoke. Liam immediately retorted, "I meant the admission procedures, not surgery." With just that one sentence, he had exposed his own flaw. Mia's father finally turned to look at him. No one mentioned surgery. Liam's lips turned stark white. Chief Quinn stopped writing. "Commander Liam, explain yourself." His Adam's apple bobbed continuously. "She is about to give birth. A C-section is also a surgery. I was just thinking ahead. The obstetrics file clearly states that the fetal position is normal and there is currently no need for a C-section." Dr. Stone's voice rang out from the door. She was holding a medical file, her expression extremely grim. "Yesterday, Nurse Claire came to me asking for a blank surgical consent form. She said Commander Liam had agreed to a C-section if necessary." Mia stared intently at Liam. It turned out that the swapped surgical consent form from her previous life had been prepared on this very day. Her father's hands trembled slightly. Chief Quinn asked, "Where is the blank consent form?" "Doctor." Stone shook her head. "I didn't give it to her." Nurse Claire suddenly burst into loud sobs. "You did. You clearly gave it to me." Dr. Stone's expression instantly changed. The head nurse whipped her head around. "What did you just say?" Nurse Claire realized she had slipped up and hastily covered her mouth. Chief Quinn immediately stood up. "Go check the nurse's station." Everyone simultaneously walked out. Only her father was left by the bed, supporting Mia. Right at that moment, a sudden piercing pain shot through her lower abdomen. Mia gripped the bedsheets tightly, cold sweat instantly pouring out. "Doctor." Stone rushed back, pulled back the blanket to check, and raised her voice. "She's bleeding. Prepare the delivery room." The lights in the delivery room were blindingly white. This time, no one dared to do anything out of Mia's conscious sight. Director Miller stood outside the door. Her father guarded the hallway. Chief Quinn had even sent personnel to lock down the nurse's station before Mia was wheeled in. Liam was blocked outside. His eyes were bloodshot as he yelled, "Mia, I am the baby's father." Her father punched him straight in the face. "You don't deserve to be." Liam staggered, hitting the wall. The corner of his mouth instantly started bleeding. Olivia screamed and tried to run over to help him, but she was stopped by the security guards. "You can't hit an officer." Mia's father looked at her coldly. "Wait until the investigation results are out. Then you can see who will still be able to protect you." The delivery room doors closed. Waves of pain came crashing over Mia, one after another. "Doctor." Stone held her hand. "The fetal heartbeat is still stable. Listen to my instructions." As the pain felt like it was tearing her body apart, the images of the cold operating table and the baby, who vanished without a single cry in her past life, kept flashing back in her mind. Mia bit her lip until it bled, staring straight into Dr. Stone's eyes. "I want to hear my baby cry." Dr. Stone nodded. "You will hear it." She didn't know how much time had passed when her stomach suddenly felt incredibly light. A resounding cry tore through the silence of the delivery room. The nurse brought the baby next to her face. "It's a girl, 6 pounds and 13 ounces. Her tiny face was wrinkled, but her cries were incredibly strong. Tears streamed from the corners of Mia's eyes into her hair. The child she hadn't even been able to look at once in her past life had finally come to her safely in this one. Suddenly, Olivia's shrieking wails echoed from outside the door. Impossible. How could she have given birth? The staff in the delivery room were all stunned. "Doctor." Stone's face darkened. "Guard the door closely." After the placenta was delivered, Mia was wheeled out of the room. Her father was the first to take the baby. His posture was stiff, as if he were holding a medal of honor. "Good. Very good." Liam stood not far away. There was still blood on his face, but his eyes were fixated on the swaddled baby. "Mia, let me look at our child." Martha blocked the front of the bed. "Look at what? Are you seeing if you still have a chance to swap the paperwork?" A flash of shame and anger crossed Liam's face. "Martha, this is my family's business." Director Miller pulled out a piece of paper. "Commander Liam, this is no longer just your family's business." They had found a blank surgical consent form tucked inside a pile of discarded medical records at the nurse's station. It bore Liam's signature. The patient's name section was left blank. The surgery name was also blank. The date signed was today. The onlookers gasped collectively. Liam's voice went hoarse. "When I signed the admission deposit form, it got slipped in by mistake." Chief Quinn placed the paper into an evidence bag. "Then we'll just investigate to see who slipped it in and what that person intended to fill out." Olivia suddenly burst into laughter. She laughed as tears streamed down her face. "Liam, what are you still pretending for? Didn't you say that only if Mia couldn't have any more children would my child have a legitimate status?" The hallway fell dead silent. Liam whipped his head around. "Olivia, you're crazy." Olivia pointed at the baby in Mia's arms, her eyes full of venomous resentment. "She gave birth to a girl. Are you even more reluctant to let her go now? You once said the baby in her belly couldn't be kept. The Thomas family will only acknowledge their biological grandchild, so keeping it would just be an obstacle." Mia's father's face instantly turned livid. Chief Quinn shouted, "Olivia, speak clearly." Backed into a corner, Olivia suddenly had nothing left to lose. "He was the one who told me to go to the house and cause a scene. He said as long as Mia was provoked and hospitalized, the procedures would be easy to handle. Even if something happened, they could just say it was a difficult labor." Liam lunged forward to cover her mouth. Mr. Barnes kicked him hard behind the knee, sending Liam collapsing to the ground. His military cap rolled under Mia's hospital bed. Olivia was taken away for separate interrogation, and Liam was also placed under custody. Mia's father handed the baby to Martha, then sat by Mia's bed for a long time without saying a word. Mia knew he was still terrified. If she hadn't been reborn, if she hadn't called Director Miller over beforehand, everything from her past life would have happened all over again. By the afternoon, Chief Quinn walked in holding the investigation report. "Nurse Claire has confessed." She said that a month ago, Olivia had visited the military hospital. Claire helped her inquire about the procedures in the obstetrics department and even sneaked a peek at Dr. Stone's shift schedule. The blank surgical consent form was taken by Claire from a pile of discarded forms. Liam's signature was placed there because Olivia told him to sign it. But Liam knew very well that it wasn't a standard admission form, because before signing it, he had asked a single question. "Can you truly guarantee that she won't be able to have any more children after this?" Nurse Claire had heard him clearly. That sentence was like a nail driven straight through both of Mia's lifetimes. Her father closed his eyes. "Handle it strictly according to regulations." Chief Quinn nodded. "Military discipline and handing the case over to the local police, everything will be done according to proper procedures." Because Olivia was pregnant, she couldn't be arbitrarily detained. She was placed under the supervision of the Women's Association while awaiting disciplinary action. Liam was suspended from duty pending investigation, and Nurse Claire was suspended by the hospital, awaiting a police investigation. Hearing all of this, Mia didn't feel the slightest bit of joy. The baby girl in her arms cooed softly. Mia bowed her head and pressed her cheek against her daughter's tiny face. Suddenly, a commotion broke out outside the door. Liam's mother had rushed over from the countryside, carrying her luggage. The moment she entered, she started wailing loudly. "Mia, you jinx! You've completely ruined Liam's bright future." General Thomas was about to stand up, but Mia held his hand back. Liam's mother stormed over to the bed, not even bothering to glance at her newborn granddaughter. "So what if a man makes a little mistake out there? The baby in Olivia's belly is still our family's flesh and blood. You only gave birth to a girl. You should be hurrying to welcome Olivia into the house." Martha was so angry she was shaking. "Ma'am, your daughter-in-law was almost killed." Liam's mother spat. "Well, she's not dead yet, is she?" Everyone in the room paled in shock. Mia looked at the mother-in-law who, in her previous life, had forced her to kneel and cook chicken soup for Olivia, and asked softly, "Who did you just say isn't dead?" Liam's mother thought Mia was scared. "Don't pretend to be pitiful. No matter how high-ranking your father is, he can't interfere with our family carrying on its lineage. If you know what's good for you, go explain to the leadership that you misunderstood Liam." She pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her luggage. "This is a written pledge. Put your fingerprint on it." The paper stated that Mia admitted to misunderstanding her husband and Olivia due to emotional instability during pregnancy, that she voluntarily withdrew her complaint, and that she accepted Olivia and her child. It was so absurd that it sent chills down one's spine. Martha instantly started scolding her. Mia's father's face darkened ominously. Liam's mother even brought out a box of red ink paste and pressed her finger into it. She reached out, trying to grab Mia's thumb. General Thomas immediately seized her wrist. "Get out." Liam's mother flopped onto the ground, throwing a tantrum. "The general is hitting people. The officials are bullying a poor farmer." The hallway instantly filled with onlookers. Olivia was also helped over by the Women's Association staff, her eyes red. In front of everyone, she knelt by Mia's bed. "Mia, please spare Liam. I don't need a title anymore. I can even give the baby in my belly to you." Liam's mother immediately chimed in. "That's right, you raise it. After all, you couldn't give birth to a son anyway." As those last words fell, the baby girl in the swaddle was startled and immediately burst into tears. Her daughter's cry was like a stab from a knife. Outside the hospital room, the crowd of onlookers grew larger and larger. Olivia, kneeling on the floor, crawled forward and reached out to grab the corner of Mia's blanket. "Mia, I'll kowtow and beg you." Before her forehead could even touch the ground, Director Miller blocked her path. "Comrade Olivia, do not use kneeling and begging as a way to pressure the victim." Liam's mother slapped her thigh. "What victim? She's lying right here perfectly fine, while my Liam got taken away." Mia's father finally spoke up. "Liam hasn't been arrested. He is under investigation." Liam's mother pointed right at General Thomas's face and scolded. "Just because you're a high-ranking official, you think you have the right to push people to their deaths?" Chief Quinn walked over from the hallway, holding new documents in his hand. "No one is pushing him. The evidence is," he said. He placed a stack of copies on the bedside table. There was the cafeteria's purchase registry, the pharmacy's medication dispensary log, and Nurse Claire's statement. There were also 2 letters written in Liam's own handwriting to Olivia. One letter read, "Wait until she gives birth. I'll make arrangements then. Don't take things too far." The other read, "The Thomas family's connections can help me get a transfer. I can't divorce her right now, so you'll just have to endure this hardship for a while." Liam's mother's wails instantly choked in her throat. Olivia's face lost all its color. By the time Liam was brought to the door by the security guards, his footsteps were already unsteady. Chief Quinn held the 2 letters up to his face. "Commander Liam, do you confess?" Liam stared at the 2 letters, his lips pressed into a thin line. Olivia suddenly screamed, "You said you burned them!" As soon as the words left her mouth, she froze. Liam closed his eyes. Chief Quinn's expression remained neutral. "Very well. There's no need to question their authenticity further." It turned out that Olivia wasn't just foolish, she was also greedy. Those letters were exactly what she had kept to blackmail Liam into marrying her. In her past life, the fact that Olivia had managed to wait until after Mia died to hold a wedding, was likely because she had used these very papers to keep Liam under her thumb. Liam looked up at Mia. Mia, I admit, I was wrong. He dropped to his knees. In her previous life, he had knelt by her hospital bed just like this, claiming he had been tricked into signing. In this life, the sound of his knees hitting the floor only made Mia nauseous. I was blinded by the devil, Liam pleaded. Olivia said she was pregnant. I was afraid she'd make a scene, so I only intended to let you endure this hardship for a while. I never wanted to take your life. Endure hardship for a while? Losing her child, her body being irreparably damaged, being hidden in the shadows for half her life, and finally being poisoned to death. Coming from his mouth, all of that was merely enduring hardship. Mia's father kicked a nearby chair away. Liam didn't dodge. He crawled 2 steps forward on his knees, reaching out to touch the baby. Let me look at our daughter, just once. Mia hugged the child tighter. Her last name is Thomas. Liam's head snapped up. What did you say? I've already asked Director Miller to help write up the divorce papers, Mia said coldly. The baby will take my last name, and your name will not be on her birth certificate. Liam's mother lunged forward. How dare you? Chief Quinn stopped her. The registration for a child born within a marriage can be handled according to the law. Liam is currently suspected of serious disciplinary and legal violations. Custody matters will prioritize the mother's safety. Liam's mother didn't understand the law. She only understood that the baby wouldn't belong to their family. She went crazy and lunged forward to snatch the child. Martha threw a basin of warm water straight at her, drenched from head to toe. Liam's mother stood frozen in place. Taking advantage of the chaos, Olivia clutched her stomach and backed away. A Women's Association staff member at the door immediately grabbed her. Where are you going? Olivia struggled. My stomach hurts. I want to use the restroom. Right at that moment, a paper packet fell out of her padded coat. The packet burst open on the floor, revealing several dried red petals. Director Miller bent down to pick it up, her face turning completely ice cold. That packet of safflower became the straw that broke the camel's back. Olivia still tried to deny it, claiming it was a folk remedy to nourish her pregnancy. Doctor, Stone immediately pointed out on the spot that safflower promotes blood circulation and is absolutely forbidden for pregnant women to use. As the Women's Association staff led her away, Olivia finally broke down completely. It was all Liam's doing. He forced me. He refused to get a divorce, but he also couldn't bear to let go of the Thomas family's connections. What else could I do? Liam jerked his head up, his eyes bloodshot. Olivia, are you trying to wash your hands of all responsibility? The two of them stood in the middle of the hallway, screaming curses at each other. One kept howling, "You promised me," while the other shot back, "You were the one who seduced me first." Those illicit feelings that could never be brought to light were ultimately torn to shreds by their own hands. Chief Quinn did not stop them. He simply let his staff record every single word. 3 days later, Mia was discharged from the hospital. Her father arranged for her to stay in the family housing at the Provincial Military Command. When registering her daughter's birth certificate, Mia named her Stella Snow. Stella Snow, the bright star illuminating the dirt on the snow, and also illuminating her own reborn life. The disciplinary results for Liam were issued very quickly. He was stripped of his military rank and handed over to the police. His charges were not limited to just one. The truth of his sabotage of a military marriage was clear. Alongside forging and preparing to use medical documents, and instructing others to slip forbidden herbs into a pregnant woman's food, causing severe endangerment. Because Olivia was pregnant, her detention was temporarily suspended. She was placed under the supervision of the Women's Association and the police, and would face her corresponding punishment only after giving birth. Nurse Claire had her nursing license revoked and was handed over to the local authorities for prosecution. Liam's mother refused to accept this, and ran to the gates of the Provincial Military Command to cause a scene. She held up a sign claiming that the general was abusing his power to bully civilians. Mia's father didn't even make an appearance. Chief Quinn simply pasted the investigation notice on the bulletin board. It contained no humiliating words, only listing the facts, evidence, and the disciplinary actions taken. The onlookers surrounding her went from pointing and gossiping to falling silent, and eventually dispersed. Liam's mother sat on the ground crying. She cried until her voice went hoarse, but no one came to help her up anymore. That afternoon, Liam requested to see Mia. Her father asked if she wanted to go. Stella Snow was sleeping soundly in her arms, milk bubbles still forming at the corners of her mouth. Mia went. Through the iron bars of the detention cell, Liam looked as though he had lost a lot of weight. Stubble covered his chin, and his military uniform had been replaced by a set of gray cotton clothes. The moment he saw Mia, his eyes immediately turned red. "Mia, I was wrong." Mia didn't say a word. He hurriedly pressed closer. "I really didn't mean to kill you. I just wanted Olivia's child to have a legitimate status. Your father's connections are very important to me. I couldn't divorce you. But Olivia had waited for me for so many years. I couldn't let her down either." Every single word matched exactly what he had said right before she died in her previous life. The only difference was that this time, he no longer had the chance to deliver the final stab. Liam gripped the iron bars. "Please, put in a good word for me with your dad. If I go to prison, Stella Snow won't be able to hold her head high in the future either." Mia looked at him. "Only now do you realize she's your daughter?" He choked on his words. "Mia, no matter what, we used to be husband and wife. From the moment you let Olivia show up at my house, we were no longer husband and wife," she replied. His face turned ashen. Footsteps echoed from behind. Olivia was being escorted down the hallway by the police. Her pregnant belly was already quite visible, but the smugness from before had completely vanished from her face. Seeing Liam, she suddenly stopped. "Liam, save me." Liam looked at her as if he were looking at the plague. "Get lost." Olivia froze in shock. Then, she burst out laughing, tears falling as she laughed. "You're telling me to get lost? Because of you, my reputation is completely ruined, and I've lost my job. When this baby is born, it will have to suffer alongside me." Liam gritted his teeth. "If you hadn't been so greedy and kept those letters, I wouldn't have ended up like this." Olivia went crazy and lunged at the iron bars. "If you hadn't wanted to rely on the Thomas family to climb the ranks, why would I have had to wait for you?" The police dragged her away, and her crying and cursing grew fainter in the distance. Liam slumped back into his chair, muttering to himself, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault." The door to the detention center slowly closed behind Mia. The day the divorce verdict was handed down, Stella Snow had just turned 1 month old. The court determined that Liam was entirely at fault and granted the divorce, awarding Mia full custody of their daughter. On the day the verdict was delivered to the military family housing, Mia's father was holding Stella Snow outside to catch some sun. The little girl opened her big dark eyes, looking at everyone without a hint of fear. "Martha?" Martha came specifically from the military compound to visit, bringing a basket of eggs. "Mia. Liam's old mother has gone back to her hometown. I heard everyone in the village knows what her son did. Now no one dares to arrange a marriage with that family anymore." Mia poured her a glass of water. "What about Olivia?" Martha lowered her voice. "She gave birth to a son. Right after giving birth, she was taken away by her family. Once her postpartum confinement was over, she was taken into custody. She even screamed that the baby was the eldest grandson of Liam's family, but Liam refused to see her. Of course, Liam wouldn't see her. What he loved was his future, his reputation, and the people who could serve as his stepping stones to climb higher. Olivia was nothing more than a link in his chain of ambition. Later, Mia heard that Liam had written numerous letters of appeal from prison. In every letter, he claimed he had been bewitched by Olivia, or that the Thomas family was retaliating against him. But the letters he had written with his own hand, the blank surgical consent form, Nurse Claire's testimony, and the evidence Olivia had, kept a very single piece of it, definitively nailed down his crimes. Mia's father never mentioned the man again. He made a small wooden rocking horse for Stella Snow, his craftsmanship so clumsy that it didn't resemble the work of a general at all. Life moved forward just like that. Mia enrolled in the logistics school of the Provincial Military Command, studying finance and records management. In her previous life, her world had only revolved around Liam and that adopted child. In this life, she wanted to personally write her own name back into her own file. 3 years later, before Liam's prison sentence was up, he sent her another letter. The envelope read, "To Mia." Her father didn't open it. He simply handed it directly to her. Inside were just a few pages of apologies. He wrote that Olivia had remarried a cook at the labor reform farm. The son she gave birth to had a weak constitution and was seen as a burden by her family, so he was sent back for Liam's mother to raise. Liam's mother was getting old and had to rely on mending clothes for others to survive, cursing Olivia every day for ruining their family. He wrote that he finally understood the ones he had wronged the most were Mia and Stella Snow. The last line read, "If you are willing, after I get out of prison, I will work like a horse and an ox for you and our daughter." Mia threw the paper into the fire. The flames licked at his words, eventually turning everything into a layer of black ash. Stella Snow, who was leaning over the table practicing her handwriting, asked in her childish voice, "Mommy, what are you burning?" Mia stroked her daughter's braids. "An old debt." The little girl seemed to understand yet not quite understand, lowering her head to continue writing her name. Stella Snow, each stroke neat and strong. Many years later, Stella Snow was accepted into the Military Medical University. On the day the acceptance letter arrived, the girl ran into the yard wearing a white shirt, her forehead covered in sweat. "Mom, I want to be a doctor in the future." Mia looked at her daughter, her throat suddenly tightening. The place that had robbed her of her child and her body and her past life in this life, her daughter would walk into it with honor and her head held high. Her father was old by then. He put on his reading glasses and read the acceptance letter, reading it over and over until he chuckled. Good. To save people, not harm them. Stella Snow hugged him. The grape trellis in the yard cast a green shadow, and the wind rustled through the leaves. That winter, Liam came looking for them once. He stood outside the gates of the military family housing compound, his back hunched, his hair more than half gray. The guard called to ask if Mia wanted to see him. Stella Snow was packing her luggage, getting ready to leave for college. The girl looked up and asked, "Who is it, Mom?" "An irrelevant person," Mia replied. The guard was still waiting on the other end of the line. "Comrade Mia?" Mia looked out the window. Liam was holding an old canvas bag, standing under the harsh sun. His face was full of struggle and a pathetic, fawning expression. In her previous life, he had trampled over her family to climb higher step by step. In this life, he couldn't even step foot through this gate. "I won't see him," Mia said, and hung up the phone. The guard walked out and said a few words to him. Liam suddenly fell to his knees and kowtowed right in front of the compound gates. The passers-by all stepped aside to avoid him. Seeing this through the window, Stella Snow frowned. "Mom, is that man sick?" "Yes," Mia replied as she fastened the lock on her daughter's luggage. "His heart is rotten. It's an incurable disease." Such a perfect and satisfying ending. Karma is real, and Liam and Olivia got exactly what they deserved. The final image of Mia and her daughter Stella Snow walking with their heads held high sends such a powerful and positive message. Hey guys, have you ever wished you could go back in time just to kick a toxic person out of your life? Today's rebirth story is insanely satisfying. It's about a girl who finally drops her blind crush on her childhood friend to save herself and lets karma do the rest. Let's get into it. In her previous life, Emily's childhood friend confessed his love to the school's popular girl right in their classroom, carelessly lighting some fireworks to set the mood. Unexpectedly, the fire blazed out of control. Emily risked her life to push him out of harm's way, but in doing so, her right leg was permanently crippled, making her unable to even participate in her college entrance exams. At the time, he cried and swore that he would take care of her for the rest of his life. Yet, later on, she heard him complaining with her own ears while holding the popular girl in his arms. "I'm sick and tired of looking at that cripple every single day," he had grumbled. "If she hadn't jumped in and ruined everything the day I confessed to you, we would have been together a long time ago." Emily's mental state steadily deteriorated until her depression became unbearable. That night, she jumped off the roof of a building. But when she opened her eyes again, she had been reborn on the exact day Carter was about to confess. Seeing him holding up the lighter once more, she didn't even hesitate. She simply turned her head and walked straight away. However, the weightless sensation of falling from that extreme height still haunted her, as if it were suffocating every fiber of her being. Right at that moment, Carter texted her, "Emily, I have something to tell you. Meet me in the equipment room at 6. In her past life, when she saw this text, she was so happy her heart nearly leaped out of her chest. Emily and Carter had grown up together since they were kids, the classic childhood sweethearts. They were so close that they never felt awkward around each other when they were younger. She had naively thought that after 15 years, their feelings for one another were perfectly clear and went without saying. Little did she know until much later that the text hadn't actually been sent by Carter. It was Savannah who had taken his phone and sent it to her. As soon as Emily pushed the door open and stepped inside, her right calf immediately spasmed with a dull, lingering phantom pain from her death in the previous life. The classroom floor was covered in cheap plastic flower petals, surrounded by pink streamers hung all over the place. A whole pile of unboxed cold spark fireworks was stacked up in the corner. Looking at the scene before her, The agonizing screams from the fire in her past life instantly flooded her mind. What are you doing here? As soon as Carter saw her, his brow furrowed in deep annoyance, looking exactly as if he had just stepped in something foul. Before Emily could even open her mouth, Savannah stepped out from behind him, her face brimming with smug satisfaction. Oh, you actually dragged yourself over here? Did you really think Carter asked you here? Savannah covered her mouth, giggling in a way that made Emily want to slap her right across the face. I took his phone and sent that text. If you're going to be this boy crazy, you should really take a good look in the mirror. Being his childhood friend doesn't mean a damn thing. How could you ever compete with someone like me who just magically dropped into his life? How do you not understand something so simple? Carter's expression grew uglier by the second. He waved his hand impatiently. Just leave. You're an eyesore standing there. But Savannah tugged at his arm, whining flirtatiously. Ah, don't be like that, Carty. She's already here. Emily, since you love clinging to him so much, why don't you just stay today and be our witness? You can stick around and watch exactly how much Carter and I love each other, just to finally crush any hopes you had left. Emily suddenly burst out laughing. In her previous life, when she heard those words, her face had flushed beet red. Tears had welled up in her eyes, yet she couldn't utter a single word. In the end, she had just stood there like an idiot, watching the two of them act all affectionate right in front of her. Seeing her laugh, Savannah frowned immediately. What are you laughing at? I'm just laughing at how incredibly tacky you two are. Emily raised her hand, pointing at the messy piles of streamers and flower petals scattered on the floor. Decorating like this makes the place look like a cheap 1980s disco. Carter's face instantly one-tropped, and the smile completely froze on Savannah's lips. Emily kept smiling nonchalantly. This guy, you're treating like some kind of grand prize? I lost interest a long time ago. In the past, I was just young and naive. I hadn't seen enough of the real world yet. Savannah froze for a moment before letting out a scoff. Who are you trying to fool? Everyone knows you follow Carter around every single day like a lost puppy. You really think I'd believe that? Whether you believe it or not has absolutely nothing to do with me, Emily sneered, casually pulling her phone out of her pocket. She opened their class group chat, hit the live stream button right away, and pointed the camera straight at the couple standing in front of her. Holding the phone up high, she shouted, All right, all right, all right. Everyone get in here and join the stream. Our beloved heartthrob Carter is about to confess to the class beauty. If you're scrolling by, you do not want to miss this, she yelled out into the phone. The viewer count on the live stream skyrocketed immediately. Carter panicked and lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone. Are you crazy? Turn that off right now. Emily stepped back quickly, dodging his hand. Why should I turn it off? If you want to confess, you should do it openly and proudly. Why sneak around? Wouldn't it be even more romantic to have everyone witness it? The comments on the live stream instantly flooded in like a storm. What's going on? Is this the equipment room? Why is the equipment room decorated like a wedding venue? Ha ha ha! Who decorated this? It's so tacky. What's happening? Ooh, some romance drama between the heartthrob and the class beauty to watch. So sweet, I can't take it. At first, Savannah was afraid of getting caught by a teacher, but as soon as she saw the comment count soaring and people constantly admiring and hyping them up, her vanity swelled like a balloon. Not only was she no longer scared, but she also started relishing the feeling of having the whole class's attention. She smoothed her hair and purposely dragged out her words in a whiny, flirtatious tone. Carty, didn't you prepare fireworks too? Light them up! Everyone on the stream is waiting to see. Emily glanced at her phone screen, but by this time, some people had noticed something was wrong. Lighting fireworks probably isn't a good idea. It's full of old mats and wooden frames in there. Don't light them. Don't do it. Cold spark fireworks still produce real fire. Yeah, there are flammable things everywhere. What if a fire starts? Carter, calm down. It's too dangerous. Carter looked at the messages in the group chat, his expression growing hesitant. He frowned and shook his head slightly. Maybe we shouldn't light them. It really is. What are you so scared of? Cold spark fireworks won't do anything. Besides, everyone is watching. Savannah whined, tugging at his sleeve. You said you were going to give me the most romantic confession. You promised it yourself. Emily sneered at the screen and let out a sigh. All right, everyone. Show's over. Our beloved heartthrob Carter got spooked by your comments, But oh well, knowing to fear danger means he at least has a little bit of IQ left. Go home, kids. These words immediately stung Carter's ego. His face turned bright red, and he instantly yelled back, his neck straining. Who said I don't dare? What could possibly happen? You guys are totally overreacting. After saying that, he turned around, marched straight to the corner of the room, and picked up several large boxes of fireworks. That was enough. Emily had no intention of staying to watch him light fireworks and show off, and she certainly didn't want the two of them blaming her for whatever happened today later on. All right, you two have fun. I'm done watching. Dropping that single line, she shoved her phone into her pocket, turned around, and walked straight out. The biting night wind blew against her face, making her mind clearer than ever. She put on her over-ear headphones and walked for about 500 yards. Not long after, a faint smell of burning plastic began lingering in the air. She stopped in her tracks and turned back to look. Thick black smoke was billowing out from the windows of that classroom. The fierce red flames had already roared up, licking the second-floor windows, standing out horrifyingly against the dark night. The fire was spreading much faster than she had expected. She quietly stared at the sea of flames for exactly 3 seconds, then turned away and didn't look back again, continuing her walk toward the school gates. At 8 p.m., the class group chat completely blew up. Horrified messages poured in continuously like a snowstorm. The class president was the first to text. Did you guys hear the news? The equipment room caught on fire. Real or fake? When did this happen? Just now. The fire trucks are already here. I'm at the sports field, and I can see it. The smoke is insanely huge. Where is everyone? Is anyone hurt? The class president sent another message. Latest update. Carter's spine was crushed by a falling heavy object. Doctors say there's a high chance he'll be paralyzed for life. Savannah isn't doing much better. She suffered extensive burns to her face and will definitely need skin grafts. Their college entrance exams are completely screwed now. The group chat fell dead silent for about 3 seconds, and then the messages started scrolling even faster. No way. Did Carter actually light the fireworks? We warned him. He just had to light them. So who else can he blame? Emily placed her fingers on the screen and typed a few words. I just heard about it too. How did it end up like this? After sending it, she added, when I left, the two of them were still setting things up. I never expected something like this to actually happen. Hunter immediately tagged her. Emily, did you leave early? You have no idea. The fire was so huge it practically swallowed the whole classroom. Lily followed up instantly with a string of exclamation marks. It was terrifying. Thank God you left quickly, or you would have been caught in it too. Exactly, someone else chimed in. Emily, if you had been even a second slower, it would have been really bad. Emily sent a sad emoji. It's my fault. I should have tried harder to talk him out of it then. If I hadn't left, maybe I could have stopped them. Hunter immediately replied, don't blame yourself. When you were there, didn't you already warn him? If they wouldn't listen, what could you do? Lily quickly agreed. Yeah, exactly. What does this have to do with you? Carter wanted to show off, so he brought this on himself. Honestly, no one else can be blamed for what happened today. So many people warned them on the live stream. Everyone said it was dangerous, but did those two listen? Somehow, the topic shifted back to Emily. Lily suddenly texted, to be honest, Carter is such an ungrateful jerk. Emily has been so good to him ever since they were kids, yet he just took all her care for granted. Hunter immediately chimed in, right? From childhood until now, whenever Carter got sick or needed to copy notes, wasn't it always Emily bending over backwards for him? Last time he had a fever, Emily ran through the pouring rain all the way to the pharmacy outside of school to buy him medicine. And what about that time in PE class when he sprained his ankle? Who carried him to the nurse's office? Emily, that's who. How much did she even weigh back then? Not even 100 pounds. Yet she carried a huge guy halfway across the field. And the result? Was he ever grateful? Lily sent an eye-rolling emoji. Carter only has eyes for that manipulative girl. Hunter sighed via text. So honestly, Emily, you got lucky. Seeing his true colors early means you get to break free early. Otherwise, who knows how long those two would have dragged you down with them. Emily sent back a forced smile emoji. It's all in the past now. Finally, the class president messaged the group. They're still our classmates after all. How about the whole class goes to the hospital to visit them? Emily replied, sure. Just as she put her phone down, her mom came out of the kitchen carrying 2 plates of piping hot food. Her dad stood nearby, helping to set out the bowls and chopsticks. Sweetheart, time to eat. Mom made your favorite sweet and sour ribs today. The warm yellow light bathed her parents' faces. Emily looked at the wrinkles around her mom's eyes, which were still very faint, and at her dad's hair, which hadn't yet been turned white by days of endless worry. Her eyes instantly stung with tears. In her previous life, trying to treat her leg and then struggling to cure her depression, the laughter in this house had completely vanished. After she died, just how desperate and devastated must her parents have been? She took a deep breath, trying to swallow the lump in her throat, and then smiled as she walked over. Thinking about Carter and Savannah's fate as described in the group chat, this was what they called karma hitting the mark without missing a single inch. 5 days later, over the weekend, more than 10 of them from class went to the hospital together. As soon as the hospital room door was pushed open, Emily saw Savannah lying on the bed. Most of her head was tightly wrapped in gauze like a mummy, leaving only one bloodshot eye exposed. The moment Savannah saw her, that eye instantly widened. Emily! Her voice was thick and raspy from the smoke, sounding like sandpaper scraping against the ears. You still dare to show your face? You're here to laugh at me, aren't you? The entire hospital room fell dead silent. The class president hastily stepped forward to mediate. Savannah, everyone came to visit you, and even brought— Shut up! Savannah interrupted, trembling as she pointed a finger straight at Emily. Emily, why did you leave back then? Emily looked at her without saying a word. Carter told you to stay. Why didn't you stay? Her voice grew increasingly hysterical. Aren't you two childhood sweethearts? If he told you to stay, what right did you have to walk away? The accident only happened right after you left. If you had stayed, how could Carter have gone to light the fireworks? Lily was the first to react, immediately frowning. Savannah, you're totally out of line saying that. Did Emily force Carter to light the fireworks or something? Hunter also chimed in instantly. Exactly. So many people in the group chat warned you to, but did you listen? Savannah completely ignored them. She kept her gaze fixated dead on Emily. And another thing, your dad is a firefighter. You obviously knew that place would catch fire, didn't you? Savannah's voice began to tremble. So why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you pull him back? You did it on purpose. You were jealous of us, and you wanted to watch us die with your own eyes. As soon as those words came out, the expressions of everyone around them instantly changed. Savannah's mother, standing nearby, also had red-rimmed eyes. Her lips quivered as if she wanted to say something, but in the end, she couldn't utter a single word. Emily slowly let out a laugh. Is your head full of firework ash? My dad is a firefighter. Does that make me a firefighter too? Or was I supposed to conveniently get a fire safety engineering degree just to babysit the two of you? She paused for a moment, her voice suddenly turning cold. Are you trying to make me your scapegoat? If you want to paint me as the villain, at least make it make sense. Savannah, do we have some kind of blood feud? The classmates standing nearby couldn't stand listening to it anymore either and started speaking up one after another. Exactly. Everyone watched the live stream yesterday. You were the one who insisted Carter light the fireworks. Now that something happened, you turn around and blame Emily? She couldn't stand looking at you guys, so she left way before that. Do you think Emily is a fortune teller who knew you two were looking to get yourselves killed, so she had to stay and stop you? Savannah's chest heaved violently, her bloodshot eyes still glued to Emily. Finally, like a deflated balloon, she went limp and collapsed back onto the bed. Emily coldly withdrew her gaze, turned around, and walked out of that suffocating hospital room. Leaving the burn unit, she knew Carter was in the orthopedics department downstairs. The class president and the other classmates still hadn't come out of Savannah's room. Emily hesitated for 2 seconds, but ultimately walked downstairs. Carter was lying on the hospital bed, wearing a neck brace. Everything from his waist down was covered by a thick blanket. The doctors had said there was a high chance he would never be able to stand up again. Hearing the door open, Carter turned his head. The moment he saw her, the expression on his face was incredibly complex. There was guilt, fear, and something else that Emily couldn't even be bothered to guess. He tried to force a smile that looked uglier than crying. Emily, you're here. Emily stood emotionless at the foot of the bed, giving no reply. He licked his chapped lips, his eyes slightly red. I'm sorry. I didn't know she would take my phone to send that text. I really didn't mean for you to see all that, nor did I mean to hurt you. His voice broke. He had to gasp for breath after speaking just a few sentences. When you left, I already regretted it. I didn't want to confess to her anymore. I don't know why I didn't chase after you right then. She had been clinging to me all day, and I just didn't know how to reject her. But the exact moment you turned away, I finally understood. The truth is, my heart was full of you all along. Listening to this nauseating confession, Emily just wanted to hand him an Oscar. In her previous life, when he had held Savannah and cursed her for being a cripple, why didn't he say these words? Just as she was about to open her mouth, the door to the hospital room was pushed open. Carter's mother walked in carrying a thermos. As soon as she saw Emily, her red, swollen eyes immediately lit up. "Emily, you finally came to visit Carty," she said, grabbing Emily's hand. "I knew you were a loyal and affectionate child." Carter immediately chimed in. "It's a good thing Emily wasn't there yesterday, or something would have happened to her too. Emily still has to take the exams for Harvard." Hearing this, Emily almost rolled her eyes in disgust. Carter's mother turned to look at her. "Emily, this time it was our family's fault. Carty was definitely foolish, but it was also because that girl Savannah kept bewitching and seducing him." "Ma'am," Emily interrupted, her voice so calm it was devoid of any emotion. "I think you've misunderstood something." The smile on Carter's face instantly froze. "In the past, our two families used to be neighbors, but at school, we aren't even regular friends," Emily continued. "Today, I only came with our classmates to visit and wish him a speedy recovery." Carter's face instantly turned pale. His lips trembled as if he wanted to say something. "Emily, I know you're still mad." "Carter," Emily cut him off bluntly. "If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. Our classmates are still waiting for me outside." After saying that, she turned around and opened the door. Without even bothering to look back, she walked straight out. Carter and Savannah ended up staying in the hospital for a whole month. A month later, Emily smoothly walked into the examination room. With the memories of her previous life in her head, the college entrance exams were as simple to her as doing homework. The day before the scores were released, Emily told her mother, "Mom, you don't need to look them up. The phone will definitely ring on its own." Her mother didn't believe her. Early that morning, she even dragged Emily's dad home from work. The two of them sat on the living room sofa, glancing at their phones every single minute. "Honey, are you really not nervous?" her mother asked her for the fifth time. Emily was lounging on the sofa, scrolling through her phone, not even bothering to look up. Not nervous. In her previous life, she hadn't even had the chance to walk into the exam room. On the day the scores were released that year, she was still lying in the hospital, her leg in a cast, the pillow stained with dried tears. At 2:30 p.m., her dad's phone suddenly rang. He looked at the caller ID on the screen, his hand immediately trembling. "It's a number from Boston." He answered the call and put it on speaker. On the other end of the line was the extremely polite voice of a young woman. "Hello, is this the parent of Emily? I'm calling from the admissions office at Harvard University." Her mother instantly covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Even before her dad's call ended, her mom's phone started ringing too. That afternoon, the two cell phones in their house practically blew up with calls, and even the landline rang continuously. Her mother cried for a long time before she could calm down. She pulled Emily into a tight hug, crying and laughing at the same time. "Valedictorian of the state. My precious daughter is the state valedictorian." Looking at her parents, Emily's own tears fell without warning. In her previous life, she had caused them to worry until their hair turned white, drained all their savings, and ultimately left them to suffer the most horrific pain of all parents having to bury their child. But now, having lived through 2 lifetimes, she had finally, truly been reborn. The next day, the news that she was the state valedictorian immediately blew up in the class group chat. Emily didn't pay much attention to it. For those 2 days, relatives and her parents' colleagues came over in waves to congratulate them. Their front doorstep was practically trampled flat. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, 2 completely unexpected guests showed up. Carter's parents, carrying a high-end fruit basket, knocked on their door. "Congratulations! Congratulations!" Carter's mom said to Emily's parents. "Our little Emily is the state valedictorian. You must be so proud." She smiled so wide her eyes narrowed into slits. Emily's mother's expression darkened slightly. Although it was very subtle, Emily still noticed it. She politely stepped aside. "Come in and have a seat." After about 3 minutes of exchanging pleasantries, Carter's dad finally cut straight to the chase. "Actually, we came here today mostly because of Carty's situation. Our 2 families go way back and know everything about each other. Now that Carty has gotten into such a huge mess, you've seen it with your own eyes. department is currently investigating the cause of the fire, and the insurance company is also processing the claims. So, they need all parties to cooperate and give their statements. Carter's mother leaned forward slightly. Emily, she said, since you were little, you've always been the one to protect Carty the most. Considering all our years of affection, I want to ask you for a favor. When it's time to give your statement, could you just say that it was merely an accident? That the fire spread by accident, okay? After all, Carty didn't do it on purpose. Ma'am, Emily interrupted. In her heart, she knew better than anyone else. Carter would likely have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. The future medical and caregiving expenses would be a bottomless pit. They were clearly trying to find a way to squeeze a massive compensation payout from the school and the insurance company. There were other classmates watching the live stream at the time, and the group chat history is still completely intact, she said. Whether it was an accident or not isn't up to me to decide just by saying so. The smile on Carter's father's face instantly froze. He stayed silent for a moment before saying, Emily, we aren't asking you to do anything bad. It's just that when you give your statement, you could phrase things a bit more tactfully. You didn't see Carty light the fire with your own eyes, did you? Just say you didn't see it, and that you don't know anything about what happened afterward. Wouldn't that be fine? I left just as he was about to grab the fireworks, Emily said, looking straight into his eyes. No matter where I am, I will say exactly that. The living room fell silent for a few seconds. Carter's mother hurriedly turned to Emily's parents. Please, this concerns the rest of Carty's life. Our two families have been close for over 15 years. As adults, shouldn't you at least try to talk some sense into her? Emily's dad remained seated beside her with a stone-cold expression. Hearing this, he reached out and gently patted her shoulder. Emily's stance is the stance of this entire family. Carter's mother's face completely fell. She pressed her lips into a tight line, unable to utter another word. Carter's father took a deep breath and stood up. Fine, we understand. A few days later, a television station came to the school for an interview. The weather that day was unbearably hot. The interview was barely halfway through when a sudden commotion erupted from the sports field. Emily turned her head to look. A group of about 5 or 6 people was marching in her direction. Leading the pack was Savannah's mother, followed by Carter's parents, and trailing behind them was a school janitor. The principal frowned and asked the head of the grade in a low voice, "What's going on?" Savannah's mother lunged straight toward the cameras. Her voice was so loud that the entire sports field could hear it. "What are you filming? Why is someone who left others to die going on television pretending to be a model student?" Everyone at the scene was stunned. The host quickly signaled the cameraman to pause filming. Savannah's mother grabbed the janitor and yanked him right in front of the camera. "Tell them! What did you see that day?" The janitor's eyes darted around evasively. He swallowed hard, then deliberately shouted, "That day, when the fire started, I was cleaning nearby. I saw her standing not too far away, standing there for several minutes before she turned and walked away. She didn't call for help, and she didn't call the police." The scene instantly broke into an uproar. Carter's mother quickly chimed in, "Emily, the whole grade knows you've liked Carty since you were little. Just because he confessed to another girl that day, you got angry and just stood there watching him get into a tragic accident without doing a thing." The reporters' cameras clicked furiously. More and more students gathered to watch, packing the sports field with several rows of people. A reporter's microphone was immediately shoved right into Emily's face. "Emily, is what they are saying true? Was it because of a romantic conflict? That you intentionally stood by and watched your classmates get trapped in the fire without saving them? Do you think you bear any responsibility for this accident?" The rapid-fire questions hammered down on her. The host tried to control the situation, but it was completely out of hand. Savannah's mother grew increasingly agitated. Her face flushed bright red. Her dad is a firefighter, yet she did something like this. Does her whole family have no shame? Hearing that, Emily's mother's face instantly turned pale. Emily's whole body trembled with anger. Her dad was so furious he wanted to rush up and argue with them, but her mom pulled him back, gripping his hand so tightly that the veins on the back of her hand bulged. The scene descended into chaos. The principal hurriedly called security to escort Emily's family back into the school building. Behind them, Savannah's mother kept screaming, "Emily, why are you running? If you have the guts to do it, have the guts to stand in front of the camera and explain yourself." That night, the phones in Emily's house rang incessantly from 7 p.m. all the way to 10 p.m. It was entirely reporters calling. Her mother sat on the sofa, her lips pale, unable to utter a single word. Meanwhile, the public outrage on the internet exploded even faster. A heavily edited, completely distorted clip of the interview was pushed straight to the top of the trending searches. Clickbait accounts and influencers driving the narrative began posting frantically. Every headline was blindingly sensational. Cold-blooded state valedictorian turned to hate after unrequited love. Watch the boy she loved burn without saving him. The shares skyrocketed, and the comment sections were full of curses. What's the use of high test scores? Her character is absolute garbage, a typical selfish nerd. What can someone like her even contribute to society later on? State valedictorian? I think Harvard should seriously reconsider her admission. Her dad is a firefighter too. She's completely dragged his name through the mud. The burned girl is so tragic, her face is ruined for life. Isn't this practically indirect intentional murder? Emily was so angry her eyes were red, her hands shaking with fury. She grabbed her phone, ready to dive into the comments and go toe-to-toe with those people. Her dad immediately grabbed her hand, snatched the phone away, and slammed it face down on the table. "Dad, don't worry," Emily said. She poured him a glass of water. "Just let them curse for now. The louder they are right now, the harder they'll fall when I turn the tables." She waited until the public uproar on the internet reached its absolute peak before stepping into the police station. She gave her statement, submitted all her evidence, and walked out holding the receipt. Then, she opened her phone and logged into her social media. First, she posted the screenshot of the text message Savannah had sent her using Carter's phone, along with the audio recording of their conversation that her phone had captured. "Did you really think Carter would ask you here? You have no shame." Piece by piece, the undeniable evidence proved that from beginning to end, this was nothing but a deliberate humiliation set up by them. Next was the full, unedited livestream recording from the class group. In the video, all the students were constantly sending comments trying to stop them, while Savannah whined and urged him on. The exact moment Carter turned around to get the fireworks, Emily immediately walked away. It wasn't until 5 minutes later that she finally turned off the stream. Most importantly, she posted the fire department's official liability report. It clearly stated the cause of the fire. The involved parties had unauthorizedly used a fire source indoors, igniting flammable materials. The person bearing full responsibility was the one who had directly lit the fire. There was no third-party liability whatsoever. Emily typed out a statement, every word firm and unyielding. "A clear conscience fears no false accusations. I have filed a police report. See you all in court." After posting it, she didn't bother checking anything else and just turned off her phone. Sure enough, the tables turned the very next day. The janitor was scared witless at the police station and finally confessed to everything. He admitted that Carter's parents had given him a sum of money, telling him to lie and frame Emily in front of the camera. In reality, he had only seen Emily walk into that area. As for what happened afterward, he had absolutely no idea. As soon as this news broke, public opinion completely flipped. The crowd that had been fiercely cursing at Emily the day before turned around the next day to curse at Savannah and Carter, and they cursed 10 times harder. People accused them of directing and acting in their own play, of framing and falsely accusing her. They said that since they started the fire themselves, they had to bear the consequences, and that they deserved exactly what they got. Comments flooded the internet all night long. Savannah's social media accounts were instantly deleted. The school also issued an official statement, publicly clarifying the entire truth and clearing Emily's name. During an interview, the principal stated bluntly, "Emily did not commit any wrongdoing from beginning to end. She is the victim of a deliberate and malicious smear campaign." The state television station called again, wanting to invite her for a new interview, but she refused. After hanging up, Emily stepped out onto the balcony and stood there for a while. Everything was finally resolved. The girl who had been despised and abandoned in her previous life, who had cried herself dry across 2 lifetimes, in this life, none of those things would ever happen again. She was heading to Boston for college. 3 months after she arrived in Boston, people in the class group chat would still occasionally mention Carter and Savannah. However, it was just pathetic updates about them. For example, today Carter threw another fit and smashed things in his hospital room, or Savannah underwent scar removal surgery and screamed in agony like a slaughtered pig. Emily's world was now completely wide open. She didn't have the free time to care about a couple of rats in the gutter, so she ruthlessly turned on the Do Not Disturb mode for the class group chat. The curriculum at Harvard was extremely demanding. She won a national scholarship and joined the student council, making her so busy every day that she was spinning like a top. Her life was sailing smoothly. That was until the second semester of her freshman year. Half a year later, when her phone suddenly started receiving a constant stream of MMS messages from an unknown number. They were all pictures of Carter lying paralyzed in bed, looking so pathetic it was terrifying. The text messages said things like, "Now he can't even turn himself over in bed." For the next half a month, this phone number would send her messages every few days. Sometimes it was at dawn, sometimes at dusk. There was no fixed schedule. But the content revolved entirely around one single theme from beginning to end. Seeing him like this now, doesn't your heart ache even a little? Do you know how much pain he was in today during physical therapy? He cried and called out your name. 4 or 5 nurses had to hold him down and they still couldn't control him. Now you're on top of the world. Are you really going to forget him? Did you forget how much you loved him in the past? You were the only one truly sincere with him. Now he has nothing left. His mother says he calls your name in his dreams every night. When he wakes up and sees no one beside him, he just cries. Are you really not heartbroken? Come back and visit him. He knows he was wrong. He is still waiting for you. Reading those cringeworthy, tooth-achingly cheesy messages only made Emily feel nauseous. She didn't even bother to reply and immediately blocked the number. Afterward, she reopened the class group chat she had muted long ago and casually scrolled through the chat history. The whole group was gossiping enthusiastically. Carter and Savannah had officially started dating. Emily chuckled softly. That's great. Letting those two torture each other is basically their greatest contribution to society. During the summer after her freshman year of college, she went home for vacation. The class president organized a class reunion. At the dinner table, as everyone was clinking glasses and chatting, the topic somehow naturally circled back to those two. Thanks to her gossiping friends, Emily finally got to hear the complete sequel to this melodramatic soap opera. Harvey took a sip of beer, looking exactly like someone enjoying a good show. Savannah got the bandages off her face, but the scar is super obvious. It stretches from her cheekbone all the way down to her chin. It looks pretty scary. She had to get extensive skin grafts. Taylor asked, "So, are she and Carter still living together?" "They're still living together," Harvey replied. "They fight every single day. It's hilarious. You guys have no idea." Savannah's family definitely can't afford the skin grafts, so now she's clinging onto Carter for dear life, just hoping to squeeze some money out of him to fix her face. A week ago, her mom even went over and made a huge scene, demanding that Carter's family pay for the surgery. Carter's mom said they could pay for it, but on one condition. They had to register their marriage first. Can you believe that? Carter's mom is such a sly old fox, the arts representative chimed in with a cold laugh. Think about it. With Carter like this now, who would marry him? As for Savannah, one is crippled and the other is disfigured, so they might as well just lump the two of them together for convenience. The main thing is that Carter's family is too calculating. If I pay to fix your face now, what happens if you just wipe your hands clean and leave once it's done? Who's going to take care of my paralyzed son for the rest of his life? Savannah's mom isn't stupid either. She said straight up that Carter's family just wanted to spend some money to buy a free maid. Their son will never be able to stand up again, and her daughter would have to take care of him for her entire life. The two mothers even cursed at each other right to their faces. Savannah's mom called Carter's mom a sly old fox. The class president shook his head and sighed. Carter's family is just leaving Savannah hanging right now. They provide her with food and a place to stay, but they absolutely refuse to shell out the money for her skin grafts. Anyway, those two fight every single day now. Savannah curses Carter for ruining her life, and Carter curses Savannah back for insisting he light those fireworks that day. The two of them just keep cursing at each other. One tells the other to just lie there and rot for the rest of their life, while the other tells them they'll be stuck with a scarred face forever. Don't even talk about taking the college entrance exams next year. Their lives are truly over. Everyone sighed in pity after hearing this. Finally, without anyone saying a word, they all raised their glasses and looked toward Emily in unison. Lily was the first to speak. Honestly, thinking back on it now, I still get angry. If Emily had stayed in that equipment room a little longer that day, the one who got crushed might have been her. Taylor nodded vigorously. Right. Emily, you really had a guardian angel. Just look at what Carter's mom did to you after the accident happened, and you'll understand. Just think about it. If that kind of guy had actually become your boyfriend, wouldn't he have sucked the life out of you for the rest of your life? At that moment, the class president raised his glass of beer. Come on, let's all raise our glasses. A toast to Emily and a toast to all of us. Emily smiled, raised her glass, and drained it. Thank you, everyone. Here's to a bright and wide-open road for all our futures. After the class reunion ended around 3 p.m., on her way home, as she was passing an intersection, Emily came across a woman pushing a wheelchair toward her. In the chair sat a man wearing a baseball cap, his face so haggard there wasn't a trace of vitality left. The moment the two of them brushed past each other, a gust of wind blew the brim of his cap back. It was Carter. His gaze fell on her, lingering for exactly 1 second, and then his entire body suddenly violently jolted. He had recognized her. She was just wearing a simple white t-shirt and denim shorts, but under the 3 p.m. sun, the distance between a healthy, spirited person standing in the middle of the street and someone forced to sit in a wheelchair wasn't just 3 or 4 yards it, was 2 completely different worlds. The eyes beneath Carter's cap stared fixedly at her. That look was like he had just been stabbed straight through by something sharp. His lips began to tremble, and his hands trembled as well. Then, he suddenly snapped his head away, using a voice she had never heard in her entire life to yell at the woman next to him, "Go! Get me out of here!" The woman was startled and hastily pushed the wheelchair, frantically taking him across the street. Emily didn't stop walking, nor did she look back. She simply embraced the glaring sunlight, her footsteps light as she walked toward the end of the street. Their lives had already rotted away in that dark classroom that year, while her journey in this life was only just beginning. In her previous life, she used to think that as long as she was good enough, patient enough, and sincere enough, she could exchange that for someone who would truly be by her side. But then she finally realized, in any relationship, if only one person is making an effort, holding on will only cause more self-inflicted pain. A person shouldn't doubt their own worth just because of someone who fails to cherish them, nor should they repeatedly sacrifice their principles, their future, and their self-esteem just to keep a relationship afloat. There are choices others make that they must take responsibility for themselves. People can offer advice and help, but no one can live another person's life for them. And if someone ever realizes they are in a relationship that is increasingly draining them, they must be clear-headed enough to walk away. Leaving is not a defeat, and letting go is not being heartless. Sometimes, it is simply the only way to save oneself. Emily had once lost an entire lifetime to finally understand that truth. Fortunately, heaven had given her a chance to start over, but others don't have to wait until they lose everything to learn how to love themselves. A person only lives once. They should never trade their entire future for someone who doesn't know how to value them. They must live well, grow independently, and shine on their own. Because the one person most worthy of a lifetime of pursuit, from the very beginning to the very end, has always been oneself. That ending was so satisfying, right? It just proves that once you cut off toxic people, your life seriously levels up. What did you guys think about Carter and Savannah's karma? Did they get what they deserved? Drop your thoughts in the comments.